Well, yesterday was a little bit spicy, wasn't it? It all went just a bit wrong, but today is a new day and I'm feeling so much better. Sometimes you just need to walk away from things, and have a bit of a reset. That said, I did spend quite a long time working on it after I turned the camera off, and the bad news is there's still a lot to do with that, and I know it's not going to be fun and it's going to be quite stressful and just so time consuming. I was really expecting that to take maybe an hour or two, and to carry on pressing forward with the new plot and making some really good progress. So that didn't go quite to plan, but in some ways I'm glad. It's bad news, but in some ways I'm glad because it's nice to have had a proper challenge on that new plot. I've still got that challenge ahead of me. But one of the things that I love about the first plot was the story behind it, the conversion from the complete and utter bramble wasteland. I'll show you the picture now. I show you this picture at every available opportunity. You must be sick of seeing it because I'm so proud. I really am just so proud of the achievement of being able to convert such a just wasteland. It was such a big job to convert. So it's at least nice to have a bit of a challenge. When it's all finished and I look out at it, I can remember that it wasn't actually as easy as I first thought it was going to be. It is actually 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm down here super early today. I want to get cracking and get as much done as I possibly can on the new plot. But there's just lots of good news as well. I've just woken up on the right side of bed today. There are green shoots all over the greenhouse as well. I'll show you those in a moment. And the other good news is that the rain has stopped. All night it was absolutely hammering it down. And I was literally having dreams about the allotment yesterday. That's how much it got to me. I was expecting it to just be apocalyptic weather today. It's really windy and it's quite cold, which is why I've got these weird layers going on. But it is mostly dry. So I'm going to have my little cup of tea, wake up a little bit, acclimatise. It's just so nice being here. Then I'll show you the greenhouse, and then I will go and show you all the stuff that I was pulling out yesterday of that rubbish pit. I'm going to try not to get stressed out by it today. I got loads done. I'm going to try not to get stressed out by it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Another piece of good news, the greenhouse thermometer that I left in the greenhouse last night is showing a 10 degrees minimum, 10 degrees Celsius, which is actually really, really mild. A lot of the time you think of greenhouses as dropping to the same temperature as outdoors, and to be honest, it might have been a 10-degree low last night. But that's really mild, isn't it? That's a really good sign for all the things that are coming up and all my tomatoes and stuff when they finally germinate. But let me show you the peas. Up here, look, signs of green, signs of life. In the gutter peas, not drain pipe peas, this is a gutter, isn't it? I called it a drain pipe in my other video, but that is just fantastic. And as well, just over here, there's all sorts just starting to shoot, like all these tiny little baby sorrel shoots. It's just always going to put a smile on your face, isn't it? These little green shoots, signs of life. Oh, love it. The plan today is to focus on the rubbish pit some more, but if I do feel myself starting to get down and a bit stressed, what I'm going to do is diversify and plant some potatoes. I've really been wanting to get some spuds in the ground for about a week now, and I've just been, not prioritising it, and it'll be a really nice job to kind of get my mind off the rubbish pit and refocus myself, because allotment should be fun. It's good to have a really grueling task and something that's a bit horrible and makes you feel great once you've conquered it, but you should balance that out with some nice things as well, which is why I've spent a little bit of time in the greenhouses this morning, just enjoying all the little green shoots of life. Come on then, let's go and have a look at everything that I was pulling out of that rubbish dump, give you a proper look at just how horrible it was. I don't know about you, but just from here it doesn't actually look too bad. You can see, well, hopefully you can tell I've made an awful lot of progress, and this is actually quite low now. But I've got about 3 bags full of rubbish, and I've got to show you. I've got to have a little moan. Just got to show you all the stuff I was pulling out. Well, you see, what just happened is that I said the rain had stopped on camera. So then it started chucking it down. So I've got to show you all this plastic and mess that I've been pulling out of the dump in the greenhouse. It doesn't actually look all that crazy when you've put it into one of these because it's so compressed. But the thing is, we've got all this weed matting, which really has disintegrated into just, I'm not really exaggerating when I say hundreds of pieces, probably more like thousands of pieces. The polystyrene that has broken into loads of different bits. Just all of it kind of entwined with, like, matted with other weeds. So many little bits of plastic. You know, every one of these has to be removed by hand. Every single little bit of this blue plastic tarp stuff has to be removed by hand. All these little green ties. I don't want to moan about it too much, but I just had to show you, you know, this is the tip of the iceberg. At some point they've clearly put loads of cardboard in here because there's just so much tape. Really highlights why I've spent a lot of time recently taking the tape off of the cardboard, plastic bags, just all of this horrific stuff, you know, and most of it doesn't come away like that one in big clumps. I was quite lucky to try and get that away. Most of it is just tiny little bits. More plastic bags, cans of like Vimto Monster. Just honestly, there's just so much. All of this little green stuff. I'm just moaning, but hopefully you can see why I've been getting so annoyed. I've spent, I think, about 5 hours in total going through this amount of mess, just trying to get as much of it out of the soil as possible. Just got all that rubbish away into the piles for the skip, and that's another silver lining, isn't it? The timing of the skip actually is perfect for me having taken on the new plot. So it is nice to focus on the positives, and I feel like normally I do. You know, it's very rare that things to do with gardening or on the allotment actually get to me. You know, I can I can kill every single crop and I can still be smiling and having a good time, but plastic mixed in with soil, oh, that's my kryptonite. You know, I can't. You know, that's difficult for me. So the weather has really turned, unfortunately. I really did jinx it. So I'm not scared of the rain, but my camera is. So I'm going to get back outside and probably spend another hour or so working through that rubbish dump. Oh my God. Literally just hit record and found a little lizard. I always keep lots of refuge piles to put these in when I find them. I thought I'd just give you a quick demonstration of why this is quite so soul-sucking. Basically, I'm lucky enough to have found a little tiny corner here that isn't too polluted. So what I'm having to do is scrabble through like some kind of woodland creature with my hands, picking out the polluted stuff, getting the stuff that doesn't have much plastic over here. And then once I've built that up, I can just chuck it behind me onto a bed. And you can imagine it's not fun and it's extremely time consuming. There's no real other way for me to do this because there's too much for me to just empty out onto a path, and also just emptying it out onto a path does not feel right. It does not feel good chucking a load of plastic onto my paths. So there'll be some of it, there'll definitely be some on the paths, but you know, some of this is actually it's actually good compost, so I don't really want to waste it, and I might as well get it on the bed. But you can see just how many tiny little pieces I'm having to pick out, and it's just not fun. It's just not. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no polishing it. It's just not fun. We have progress. It's been about 3.5 hours on this one this morning, and unfortunately it got to the point where I just had to start loading everything into the wheelbarrow. I did the top layer and this kind of half going through with a fine-tooth comb. I've put lots of soil on this bed here and on the bed behind me. I'll show you that in a moment. But it got to those points where you would kind of find veins, you know, like polluted veins where you'd find the same bits of plastic, and then you'd find veins of soil and compost, and that's fine. But this whole half, it was all polluted. It was all plastic, it's all blue tarp, it's all bits of weed matting. So I thought, you know what, it's not worth, it would take days to go through it all, so it's all just going in the skip. And I don't like that. It feels really just feels a bit wrong, but I think it's got to be done. So I'm going to move this, get rid of it, and then show you a bit closer. So the majority is now clear. There's still a little bit that I need to go in and dig. And in fact, what is even more bizarre, you know, as if it couldn't, how could it get more weird? When you dig into here, there is actually a layer of chicken wire at the bottom, which is just weird, isn't it? What is that about? You can see, obviously, this was a structure for something at some point, but there was so much rubbish in the bottom. And I'm talking about not like garden waste, but like, you know, household waste, like bags from Next and things like that. You know, it's just like, no, polystyrene, it's just waste. Like, I don't know. It's not worth me spending any more time thinking about it, to be honest. This is all of the wood that I've pulled out, which is probably going to go into a habitat pile or something like that. I found so many little slow worms and lizards as I've been going through it, so I've been rescuing those and putting those aside. And you can see I've had to put quite a lot on the paths. The stuff on the paths is not great, probably a bit of plastic pollution in there. But this bed, it actually looks like a raised bed now. I've still got the rhubarb under there. Just on the other side, this is, I think, where I'm going to put my spuds in, because it just kind of makes sense, I think. And I'm going to be digging this over, but we can at least now start to see some definition towards the bed edges. The plan in time, well, yeah, I think I'll keep it like this, is to basically have this as one big bed and have the path that goes across there. And this whole thing will be a growing area. We'll have a path in the middle and then another big growing area on the other side with little wood chip paths in the middle. But for now, I'm gonna kind of turn this over for potatoes, I think, after I've had a little bit of a rest. I do as well need to get into here and get rid of, I want to get rid of all the wood. I don't know, I need to take it down. I might keep it, but I need to get rid of this structure for now so that I can get it out of my head and stop thinking about it and sort out what is going on the floor. Hopefully there's nothing nasty under the chicken wire. In fact, I bet there is. Oh no, oh no. Oh, fingers crossed. Let's have a look. It's kind of remarkable that this wood has stayed as intact as it is, literally buried under the ground. It doesn't look too bad under here. There is another CD. Posted a picture of some of those on Instagram. There we go. Away with you. That's pretty much it, officially gone, isn't it? Very glad to see the back of this thing. There we go, that is just about that. Officially dismantled, destroyed, demolished, gone. Still lots of plastic to go through here and remove. But I'm feeling pretty good about this being gone, to be honest. It's really nice to see. I was a bit relieved. I really didn't know what I was going to find under here, and like I say, there's a little bit of plastic, but it could be much worse, so plenty for me to carry on doing. I have to say, I think it's gone okay. It went surprisingly well, the last bit of clear up. I'm just collecting the camera from the greenhouse because we've had just the most changeable weather today. It's bright sunshine, which cooks you, and then you know, quite bad showers, so I've got to run and hide the camera. So I've not filmed, and a lot has been done because my parents came to help me, which was really nice to have them down. But just while I'm on the way over, a reminder about my Patreon. Links in the description, and an extra special thank you to all of my Chili Pepper tier patrons, Tony, Louise, Bill, and Michael. Let me show you what we got up to. It's looking so much better. And the first thing you might notice is that my dad actually started digging. He was looking a little bit restless, and I thought it would be a nice job to give him. I know, don't be shocked. I'm mostly no dig on this plot, but I thought this would be a nice little spot for the potatoes, and you can do no dig potatoes, but it was particularly probably the weediest bit of ground here as well, and I've just chucked a load of stuff on top of it. So we're digging that in, the compost that I was able to sift out, getting rid of all that matted grass and the weeds, and then very soon I'll be able to put some spuds in here. But it looks so small now, doesn't it? It looks like, how could it have been that much bother? This tiny little patch of ground. But me and my mum, we've gone through here, sifting through everything on the ground, taking out all the little bits of plastic that we could find. You can see in here, a lot of it just kind of gets matted into these weed roots. So we're giving it a really good go. I don't think there's much left in there, and I'm just over the moon. I was hoping to get a bit more done today and get some potatoes planted, but I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow. It's coming up to around 2:30 now. Been here since 8 o'clock, so I think that's a pretty good shift, and I'm just really looking forward to coming up tomorrow and not having to deal with this ever again. It really did weigh heavily on me, as you saw. Very publicly having a meltdown over that. So yeah, it's going to be really nice. We'll come up tomorrow, get some potatoes planted, and maybe some onions as well. I've got lots of onions in the greenhouse that really are crying to go out. So join me again tomorrow, folks. Thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.